When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
It's 10:20 right here on the Elias Macko Show. To defend or deny minority language rights? That is the question. On Wednesday, the House of Commons was challenged to this as they were asked to vote on a block bill seeking to apply Quebec's Bill 96 to federally regulated workplaces and require that citizenship applications in Quebec, people applying for citizenship, that they have to know French, as opposed to what it is now, you have to know French or English. Let's go now to Anthony Housefather, Member of Parliament representing Mount Royal. He's been very vocal on this subject on social media and other places. Mr. Housefather, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much, Elias.
So, do we have an update here? What happened with this Wednesday game of chicken from the Bloc Québécois?
And the bill was actually worse than even that, because the bill also said the Charter of the French language would supersede the Official Languages Act. So essentially it would have negated minority language rights in pretty much every sector. And fortunately, what happened, the Liberals voted against. We had a similar bill last year that we voted against, and so our vote was pretty preordained because we'd already had that debate last year. And I reached out to many members of the Conservative caucus, and the Conservatives voted against it as well. The Bloc, the NDP, and the Greens voted for it. But because of the Conservatives and Liberals voted against it unanimously, the bill was defeated.
Oh, so this is interesting, right? Because we have seen this, and Anthony, this has become, sorry, Anthony, can I call you Anthony?
Of course.
All right, Anthony. We've seen this before in Quebec Canadian politics. There is seemingly now more and more an openness of Canadian politicians to throw certain minority rights in Quebec under the bus, all under the notion of, hey, it's going to help us out politically in Quebec. So were you surprised that the Conservatives jumped on board on this?
So what was really interesting, it was a good sign from the new leadership of the Conservative Party, because last year the Conservatives supported a similar bill, and the NDP voted against it, which is why it got defeated. This year it was the reverse. The Conservatives voted against it, and the NDP switched their vote to vote in favor of it.
Gotcha.
So either way, like I agree with you, Elias. Our community's rights are very vulnerable right now at every level. We have to be vigilant and we have to fight, and I always do my best both in caucus and with people in other parties to try to convince them when anything comes up of why this is so egregiously bad. And I was very pleased that not only did the Liberals vote against, but the Conservatives did too, meaning that the bill was roundly defeated.
So having said that, there are many people, I would include myself in that feel that the federal government, that your party, the federal Liberals, have not done enough to challenge some of Quebec's more egregious moves on the Bill 96 front, unilaterally changing the Constitution, using the notwithstanding clause, which is in the Constitution. It's a tool, but using it preemptively. And there's been a thought that, hey, you know what? There should have been a step up. There should have been a vocal response to nip it in the bud before it happened, right? So it's good to see this, and it's good to see that the Liberals were voting against this bill. But what do you say to the accusations that, you know what, we shouldn't even be in this place? There should have been a standing up to Bill 96 way, way earlier.
Well, I would only say that I stood up to Bill 96 as a Liberal MP as soon as the bill was introduced. Mm-hmm. I commented about it the day after the bill was introduced, saying that it was an egregiously bad bill. It was a mean-spirited bill. As you know, the federal government can't just stop provincial bills. So even if we say we're against the preemptive use of notwithstanding clause, it doesn't mean Quebec can't do it. I have been saying I'm against the notwithstanding clause completely, whether preemptively or otherwise. But again, I've spoken out against this, and again, we had a long debate in caucus. And as soon as the bill was adopted, Bill 96, David Lametti not only said, which he said before, that he's against the preemptive use of the notwithstanding clause, he said that we were going to intervene at the Supreme Court on the Bill 21 case on that very issue. So it sounds like, to me, what you're asking for, we have now done, which is that the federal government will be in court saying that it is unconstitutional to preemptively use the notwithstanding clause.
Okay, so I get that, but of course, for a lot of Anglo-Quebecers, they've seen the bill get adopted, and they're just worried about their future. Right?
I feel it from my constituents. I feel it every day. I feel it as an English-speaking Quebecer myself. I understand the angst, and I also understand that there's a misunderstanding of where people somehow believe that the Prime Minister by himself or the federal government can just stop a provincial bill from being adopted, which is not the case. But what we do need to do, and I think we all need to do it louder, although I did my best, is to speak out against these acts, whether they're done by a provincial government, municipal government, or by another federal party or by ourselves.
Let me just ask you one thing, right? And because I don't know the legalities, just on the notion of using the notwithstanding clause preemptively, right? Couldn't the federal government have gone to court just based on that and asked the court to rule on that notion right away? Is it that one point? Couldn't they have done that?
So yes, only after the bill was adopted, only after it became law, not before.
Okay.
But let me just explain this, because I think a lot of people also misunderstand this. That would mean a reference to the Supreme Court, meaning that we would ask the court on pure legal technicalities whether it was unconstitutional. And the court in the 1980s had already ruled that the preemptive use of the notwithstanding clause was okay. So basically, our goal here is to have a factual evidentiary proof, like you do in the Bill 21 case, where teachers are losing their jobs, where people are being fired, where the court will have people in front of it instead of just a legal argument, so that they can then reassess it based on changed jurisprudence and based on actual facts. In the Bill 21 case, the judge did an excellent job at the trial level in bringing in the Superior Court in bringing out evidentiary facts that now is before the Quebec Court of Appeal, and by next year will be at the Supreme Court, and that is where we'll make our case with those facts. And so as a lawyer, I've been telling everybody, I prefer to go to the court with an actual case where you have individuals who have actually been injured by the law, so the court is not just seeing it as a legal argument. Okay,
so Anthony, let me just ask you about something that you do have control over, the federal government has control over, the Official Languages Act.
Yeah.
Seems to me that the federal government is very much moving towards bilingualism. Does not mean the same thing across the country. It's going to be asymmetrical. We're going to do different things in different places. And that to me, well, you guys are in charge of that. Is that really the direction you're headed, or is there still much to be said on that front?
There's much to be said on that front. I totally oppose asymmetrical bilingualism. The courts have ruled that there has to be substantive equality, and that is the tenet of the Act. That is what the Liberal Party platform is. It's substantive equality. It's not asymmetry. Successive language ministers have said that. I know that there's some concerns in Bill C-13, the Reforms to the Official Languages Act. I am working with colleagues to propose amendments to the areas of contention in that bill to make sure that it is very clear that the Official Languages Act will not be asymmetrical, but rather will continue to be substantive equality.
What do you think's happening within your party where these kinds of things, for it even to be proposed? And I don't know if you've had conversations with Minister Petitpas-Taylor on this one, who is the Official Languages Minister. Like, what do you think's happening where, I know you're going to propose amendments and you're going to fight back on this one, but that it even got there. It seems like it's a different Liberal Party.
No, but again, no. The bill has a couple of elements of contention, right? It is not that the bill itself is premised on anything other than substantive equality. There are a couple of places. The right to work in French needs to be adjusted to make it much more clear. There's also a right to work in English, and the references to the Charter of the French Language that are not substantive references, but in my view, superfluous references have to be changed. There are two things there, but overall, the bill does speak to substantive equality. And yes, I constantly have conversations with. She hears from me, if not weekly, more often than that.
Does she still like you? Does she still like you, Anthony?
We have to push back, and it's up to members from ridings in Quebec like mine to make it clear that we are going to be defending our community, and you have constant, like caucuses, bills, you have constant back and forth interaction, pulls and pushes in different directions. Yeah. But from all parties, I have to say there's a huge difference between the Liberals and the other parties on this issue.
So, Anthony, just to wrap up here,
Sure.
and this is a little tiny thing that I've noticed, right? But it leads me to like, oh, is this a sign of thing to come? So the Radio Canada building across the street, like we're on the corner of Papineau and Rennes-Lévesque,
Yep.
and Radio Canada moved to a new building, right?
Yep.
And when I walk by, because I walk to work every day, and I've noticed that the new signs that they put up, the English is 50% of the size. And so, I say to myself, this is where the federal government's going. It's like in Quebec, we'll be 50% of the size. Do you know what I mean? That's a little thing that's right, and that's already here. You know what I mean?
But that's a great thing. If you send me a picture of the sign,
Okay.
That's not to me. That's not acceptable.
Oh,
Federal
great,
signs.
yeah.
First of all, federal signs in Quebec should be equal, English and French, and,
Yeah.
and they are in airports and in most places.
Yeah.
I don't know who designed this sign. I don't know what.
Oh, it's
it
the
could
official
easily be
signs.
a
It's like the
misunderstanding by somebody who designed a sign and just made it like that, but it should not be.
Okay, good. So I'll do that. I'll send you some
send
photos.
me the picture, and I will raise it with the department responsible, because that should not be the case.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr.
Have a great
Housefather,
day,
Anthony
Elias,
Housefather.
and happy Truth and Reconciliation Day.
Thank you very much for highlighting that. I appreciate that.
Take care.
Well, we have plenty more to talk on future shows. That is Anthony Housefather, MP for Mount Royal, and I think a pretty interesting discussion about everything language going on right now.